There is a specific kind of internal friction, you know. You sit down with a clear intention, a task laid out before you, perhaps an email to write, a creative project to begin, or a complex problem to solve. You understand its importance, you feel the weight of its necessity, and yet, an invisible hand seems to press down on your shoulders, anchoring you to your seat, diverting your gaze. Your fingers drift to a social media feed, or you find yourself reorganizing desktop icons, or suddenly compelled to wash a dish that has sat there for hours. You are not consciously deciding to avoid the task, but a subtle, pervasive resistance takes hold, leaving you feeling frustrated, depleted, and profoundly guilty. You are fully aware of what you should be doing, but you cannot seem to bridge the gap between intention and action. Your brain just did something to you, and it does it every single day. Society has many names for this internal struggle. You are called a procrastinator, a dabbler, someone lacking discipline or willpower. The most insidious label, however, is lazy. You internalize this accusation, feeling a quiet shame that you cannot simply push through. But what if this behavior, this seemingly irrational avoidance, is not a character flaw at all? What if it is, in reality, a sophisticated, albeit sometimes overzealous, protective mechanism? We can understand this internal process through the lens of what we will call the brain's emergency brake. This is a system designed not to hinder you, but to preserve you, to prevent perceived harm or unnecessary expenditure of precious resources. Your brain, at its core, is a magnificent prediction machine. Drawing from the work of researchers like Daniel Kahneman, we understand that our minds operate with two primary systems, a fast, intuitive system 1, and a slower, more deliberate system 2. When faced with a novel or complex task, your system 1 rapidly scans for patterns, risks, and required effort. If the task is unfamiliar, highly uncertain, or demands significant cognitive load, your brain's threat detection centers, particularly the amygdala, can subtly activate. It doesn't perceive a tiger, but it perceives an unknown, a potential drain on your metabolic energy, or even a risk of failure that could impact your self-esteem. As Dr. Andrew Huberman often explains, effort itself is a significant biological cost. Your brain, inherently designed for survival and energy conservation, registers this cost. The brain's emergency brake engages, not as a conscious decision, but as an automatic, subconscious response to this perceived threat or excessive energy demand. It pulls you away from the challenging task towards something familiar, low effort, and immediately gratifying, like scrolling through a feed, which provides predictable dopamine hits without significant energy investment. This is the brain's way of saying, let's conserve. Let's avoid the unknown. Let's stay safe. But this behavior is not a manufacturing defect. In reality, it is not even your fault. This avoidance is a defense strategy that you have perfected over a lifetime of perceived failures, past overwhelm, or even just the simple biological imperative to conserve energy. You can give yourself permission to release the guilt. This is not laziness, this is your brain's ancient operating system, trying to keep you within what it considers a safe, predictable zone. It is a misguided form of care, a deep-seated desire for your well-being, even if it manifests as frustrating inaction. To disengage the brain's emergency brake and transform this protective instinct into a productive guide, we need a different approach. We need concrete strategies that speak to your brain's language of safety and predictability. Consider adopting the micro-commitment protocol. Instead of aiming to complete the entire intimidating task, commit to the smallest, most effortless first step. If the task is writing an essay, your micro-commitment is not write the essay, but open the document. If it's a presentation, it's open the slide deck. This reduces the perceived threat and the energy cost to almost zero, allowing your brain to release the brake just enough to begin. Once the first tiny step is complete, the subsequent steps often feel less daunting. This leverages the Zeigarnik effect, where incomplete tasks create a mental tension that motivates completion. Another powerful tool is the environment sculptor. Design your physical and digital spaces to reduce friction for desired actions and increase friction for undesired ones. Remove distracting apps from your home screen. Set up your workspace the night before with everything you need for the next day's priority task. If your brain defaults to social media, make it difficult to access. If it defaults to email, close your inbox. You are not fighting willpower, you are redesigning the battlefield to make your brain's path of least resistance align with your goals. Finally, practice the 2-minute rule, a concept popularized by David Allen. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. This short-circuits the brain's overthinking and the activation of the emergency brake for small, easily manageable items. It builds momentum and trust with your own capacity to act. Your brain learns that some challenges are not, in fact, threats. You know that feeling when you sit down, intending to work, and an invisible hand diverts you. You have called it laziness, felt its weight, and succumbed to its pull. But now, you understand it differently. It is not a flaw, it is the brain's emergency brake, trying to keep you safe. The same person, the same moment, but with new eyes. You were never meant to be a machine of endless output. You were meant to understand the intricate dance between your intentions and your brain's profound, protective intelligence.